It's December 27th, 2017, and I'm on the road in Alberta, Canada, delivering a load of beef to a food plant. It's around 5 p.m. when things start to go sideways. I'm feeling faint, my breathing's off, and I'm struggling to stay conscious. Not an ideal situation, especially with the icy conditions outside. I'm desperately trying to find a safe spot to pull over, but the shoulder's too narrow, and the winter weather isn't helping. Eventually, I manage to steer my truck into a ditch and come to a stop, but it's not over yet. I black out and have this out-of-body experience for about 10 minutes. When I come to, I realize I've lost my phone, and there's this kind stranger standing by my truck. I can't speak, so I gesture wildly to explain I've just had a heart attack. Next thing I know, I'm blacking out again, but this time I wake up to someone punching my chest. At first I think they're trying to pick a fight, so I swing back. Turns out they're trying to save my life. Eventually emergency responders arrive, and I'm whisked off to the hospital. In the operating room, the doctors fight to revive me. It takes them 35 minutes of relentless effort before they finally call it. I was clinically dead. I learned these details from an ICU nurse a couple of days later. The moment I stepped beyond life, it felt like I was still very much alive, just in a completely different way. Everything around me bathed in a yellow tint, reminiscent of those night-driving sunglasses. I found myself engulfed in a thick, pale white mist, feeling as though I was wrapped up in a soft, enveloping fog. Without any effort on my part, I was propelled forward, floating through this mist, guided by some mysterious energy. My body had transformed into a translucent form made of pure energy, maintaining its familiar shape and contours. The surroundings were a canvas of shifting shades, with the fog dancing in colors from pale whites to deep grays, eventually revealing a stone hallway reminiscent of ancient castles, empty and echoing in eerie silence. As I explored this new realm, it became clear that the usual senses and needs had no place here. No hunger, no thirst, no craving for earthly pleasures. Instead, I was enveloped in a heightened awareness, sensing everything around me with a clarity I'd never known. Time, touch, smell, taste, and sound lost their meaning, leaving only curiosity and a profound sense of peace. I found myself effortlessly navigating through a stone hallway, floating just above the floor as if my mind was guiding my movements. The hallway was lined with glossy jet-black oval stones transitioning into rough-hewn light brown blocks, creating a path that felt ancient and otherworldly. There was no ceiling, just darkness above, adding to the mystery. As I ventured further, I spotted a piece of stained glass about 20 feet ahead, its deep, smoky yellow hue catching my eye. Despite the absence of physical sensation, I tried to touch it, only to be reminded of the peculiar nature of this place. Yet as I focused my thoughts on it, the glass lightened, revealing a breathtaking view outside. I saw a vast valley, flanked by towering mountains, dotted with green forests under a bright blue sky. The scene was vivid, like the world after a thunderstorm, yet somehow even more alive. Turning my attention back to the hallway, I noticed the floor beginning to slope downwards. As I moved, a light began to grow behind me, gradually illuminating the path. Curious, I turned to find its source and saw another hallway branching off to my left, bathed in an expanding glow. This light, as if by magic, carved open the darkness, revealing a portal that reminded me of curtains being drawn apart. Peering through this newly formed gateway, I encountered 4 beings bathed in light. Though they stood no taller than 4 feet, their presence was commanding. They communicated not with words but with thoughts, conveying messages and images directly to my mind. They invited me closer with a warmth and an urgency that felt comforting. As I approached, their details became clearer. They were clothed in robes that glowed with a soft beige light, their movements casting subtle shadows across their faces. Despite their robes being open, their bodies were notably devoid of gender characteristics, and their skin, a light creamy hue, was smooth and entirely opaque. Their eyes, slightly larger than ours but similarly shaped, conveyed a deep intelligence and compassion. Unlike the exaggerated features often depicted in tales of extraterrestrials, their facial features were delicate and childlike. The beings resembled the familiar grays of UFO lore, yet their heads were more rounded, adding to their unique and non-threatening appearance. As I drew closer, the intensity of the light around them increased, illuminating the surroundings and revealing the continuation of the hallway beside them. This encounter, set against the backdrop of the brightest light I had ever seen, felt like a moment of connection across dimensions, a meeting that transcended ordinary experience. As my curiosity nudged me forward, I found myself venturing deeper into a wide hallway shrouded in darkness. It wasn't long before I sensed something unsettling ahead. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding, and an eerie chill ran down my spine. There, in the shadowy expanse, were figures that sent a jolt of fear straight through me. They appeared human in form but were pale, as if life had been drained from them. With no hair or clothes, they flailed about in the darkness, reminiscent of people trapped in a nightmarish tar pit, struggling desperately to avoid being swallowed whole. The sight was unnerving, a tableau of desperation and despair that touched something primal within me, igniting a fear I hadn't known possible. Turning away from this distressing scene, I was drawn back towards the comforting glow of the portal, where the four beings had first welcomed me. Their telepathic invitations felt like a beacon of hope against the dark chaos I'd just witnessed. Yet, as I approached, they retreated further into the light, which grew so intense it nearly blinded me. Confusion mingled with my growing unease, further fueled by a male voice urgently calling me back. Swiveling around, I was confronted by another being emerging from the light, towering and formidable. His features were distinct and commanding, with a long, narrow head and a physique that exuded strength. His skin, a deep, unreflective black, contrasted starkly with the light that seemed to swallow him whole. This being, with his reptilian appearance and piercing gaze, was unlike any I had encountered, radiating an intensity that was almost tangible. Just as tension reached its peak, a new figure joined the others within the light, taller and with an air of authority that seemed to command attention. His presence seemed to signal a turning point, a moment of decision as he communicated the urgency of their departure. The reptilian being, stubborn to the end, made a move as if to reach for me, a gesture halted only by distance. As the little ones urged the towering figure to return to the light, declaring it was time to leave, he cast a final glance my way, a mix of frustration and resignation in his gesture, before disappearing into the brilliant white glow. Standing there, a niggling doubt crept into my thoughts, whispering that something about this encounter just didn't sit right with me. The light, while mesmerizing, seemed to harbor a hidden deceit, prompting me to trust my gut and retreat back into the darkness rather than follow into the unknown. No sooner had the portal closed behind me than I experienced a profound cessation of being, as if existence itself had flicked off like a light switch. But then, just as suddenly, awareness flooded back, a sharpness to my thoughts, enveloped once again in that familiar, magnet-like energy. I found myself drawn backward through the mist, retracing my journey in reverse, from the depths of blackness to the pale hues of dawn. Emerging from this ethereal voyage, I was gently deposited back into the tangible world, back into my body, lying in a hospital bed. Awakening, I discovered the room was silent, save for the startling reality of a toe tag on my right foot, a stark reminder of the journey I'd just undertaken. The quiet was broken by the entrance of my doctor, his face a picture of disbelief and astonishment when I greeted him, prompting a flurry of activity as the team scrambled to attend to me once more. In the whirlwind that followed, with stents being placed and urgent discussions over my condition, I chose to shield my wife from the immediate reality of my heart attack, a decision born from a desire to protect her from worry. The realization that I had been clinically dead for over an hour before making this inexplicable return to life was a revelation that would unfold in the days to come, shared in hushed tones by the medical staff who had witnessed this miracle. This story was shared by Michael B. and happened in 2017.